Did you know that black farmers played a crucial role in shaping American agriculture? In the 19th century, thousands of African Americans embraced farming, cultivating crops that helped feed a nation. Despite facing systemic racism, they developed innovative techniques and sustainable practices, transforming the landscape. Figures like George Washington Carver, who revolutionized crop rotation, and the many unnamed farmers who preserved heirloom seeds contributed to agricultural diversity. Yet their contributions remain largely unrecognized. Today, black farmers continue to fight for land rights and equality in an industry that often overlooks them. What can we do to honor their legacy? Which untold black history story would you like to hear next? Comment below.
Black farmers built American agriculture, then had their land stolen, their futures elapsed, and their voices ignored. Today we are reacting the truth they don't teach in schools, the land laws, the racism, and the reason black farmers are still fighting today. Like, subscribe, and share if this truth matters. Before everything was taken, black farmers and black inventors shaped the modern agriculture we see today. This lady is explaining everything. Let's watch it.
We have to protect our black farmers, and more of us need to become farmers, as prices of food will continue to rise. We already have food deserts and food insecurities to contend with in our black community, so it's time to stay focused and get involved. Black farmers have played a critical role in the agricultural development of the United States, contributing significantly to the economy, culture, and the agricultural industry. George Washington Carver, a renowned agricultural scientist and inventor, is credited with creating several innovations in farming tools and practices. While he did not invent the plow itself, Carver's work in improving agricultural practices helped to optimize the use of plows for crop rotation and soil conservation. John Lee Love invented the portable pencil sharpener, but he also developed the mechanical cotton picker, which greatly improved cotton harvesting efficiency. His invention helped replace the labor-intensive process of picking cotton by hand and changed the agricultural industry. Then, in 1887, Joseph E. Lee patented a device that made planting crops easier. A seed sower allowed farmers to plant seeds evenly and efficiently, saving time and labor during planting seasons. This innovation helped increase productivity in farming. John Standard. Then you got John Standard, another black inventor, improved upon the design of the lawnmower in 1899. His patent included a mechanism for the mower's lubrication system, making it more efficient and effective in cutting grass. This innovation contributed to farming as well as landscaping practices. Then we have Henry Blair. Henry Blair was one of the first black Americans to receive a U.S. patent, which he received in 1834. His innovative potato planter, the device was designed to plant seeds more efficiently, significantly improving potato farming by increasing planting seed and accuracy. Henry Blair also patented a corn planter in 1936, which allowed farmers to plant corn more efficiently and in uniform rows. This invention reduced labor and time spent planting crops, contributing to the improved agricultural productivity. Joseph G.P. Johnson invented an improved hay rake in the 19th century. The device was designed to make the collection of hay more efficient, reducing labor and time involved in gathering hay after it had been cut. Richard Allen, another black inventor, developed an irrigation system that was designed to conserve water and help farmers manage water resources more efficiently. This system is especially important in regions where water scarcity is an issue. Though not strictly an agricultural invention, Lewis Latimer, another black inventor, developed improvements to the design of the home heating furnace that also had applications in farming for creating more efficient systems for heating greenhouses and farming equipment.
She's laying down facts most people never hear. This isn't just about stolen land, it's a stolen legacy. Now let's hear it directly from a black farmer who lived through the system.
And I'm gonna say it, farming is a white man's game. And the top 10 banks in the United States, they're guilty by not lending money to black farmers the way that they lend it to white farmers.
That's true. Between 1910 and 1997, black farmers lost about 90% of the land that they owned, whereas white farmers lost about 2%. And no, it wasn't because white farmers were 88% better at farming. Internal studies at the USDA found that the USDA authorities had routinely discriminated against African American farmers.
The government, who done treated us worse than the dirt on the ground we're sitting on, investigated this up in my local county office. It took 387 days to process a black farmer's loan application.
387 days.
387 days on average.
So you miss a whole year of planting.
Bingo.
And how long does it take to process a white farmer?
30 days.
30?
Less than 30 days. That's where the problem is. And if I can't get it there, I can't get it anywhere.
That's it.
That's the United States Department of Agriculture, the last plantation. And they haven't changed, even after the national lawsuit.
In 1997, Timothy Pigford and 400 other African-American farmers sued the USDA for systemic discrimination against black farmers. The farmers won, but the payout took 11 years and required ongoing litigation.
It was merely an apology and an acknowledgement of guilt by the United States Department of Agriculture. And my grandfather, Thomas Boyd, used to say, every step you take, every step you make requires land ownership. So you can either be walking on your own or you could be walking on somebody else's, and they can have you trespassing and locked up. Wow. So the choice is yours. He said the land was the only way to be free. In the top 10 banks in the United States, they're guilty by not lending money to black farmers the way that they lend it to white farmers. They're guilty.
He's not sugarcoating it. This is what generational theft look like, done legally and quietly. Sad. So here we have another black farmer who lost everything because some folks didn't want black people to own the land this way.
I'm Carlton Sanders, and I'm from Forest, Mississippi, and I was a chicken grower for some 28 years for Cook Foods, and I lost everything I had due to the upgrades and a bunch of guys that didn't like black folks. That's the bottom line. I mean, if people knew how much trouble we were having trying to grow these chickens, they would stop eating chicken. I mean, it's just that simple. Because nobody wants to be like I am now. Done lost everything and pitiful looking and talking. And people don't want to do that. But now Tyson and Cook, ooh, it's just like you in hell with those guys. Yeah, I used to cry and couldn't stand to come by here because I did everything from scratch. And I'd been here for 30-some years. Had a beautiful garden. Everything was just good and perfect. So, therefore, it just made a mess out of things to have to get out and move somewhere else and relocate. And you know how it is. It was just hard all over. This was my number one house right here on the Carlton Sanders farm. And I did this for 28 years right here at this farm right here. One year, and I would have had everything paid for from $750,000 down to $50,000. They found out somehow that I'm about to get everything paid for, and they wanted me to do all upgrades, so it would put me back in debt some $500,000, and the bank wouldn't do it. First, the bank was on my side. So we are sick of these chicken farms and the way they operate. And then all of a sudden, when they got ready to cut me off and kill me, then the bank pulled in with them. My son got the money to buy the place, and once he got the money, they wouldn't let him have it. The man told me, he told my son first, he said, they trying to put your dad out of there. They sold for $110,000. That's what this guy got it for.
How much did you have to pay?
I offered him $150. It was a racial thing, a black versus white. And if I'd have been a white guy, I never would have went through this. And they didn't have no mercy on me. And I don't wish this on nobody. And a farmer shouldn't have to go through this, when he's feeding America. He shouldn't have to go through this. Nobody should have to go through what I done gone through. So, like I said, I thank God I'm still living and things as well as it is. And that's just how it is. I'm thankful and blessed. Chicken is the way of life in Mississippi. Now, that's where you gonna find your black guys that on the truck and catching the chicken. It's pretty dangerous because right now, with this corona thing out, these people get sick and die or get sick. They just roll another black guy in this place and tell them to keep on getting up. It's terrible. If people knew what kind of mess was going on just to get a piece of chicken, they would stop eating. Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Senator Doug Jones, they wanted to help. So we're trying to get a bill passed as to how we can handle these problems and help other growers not to grow through what I've gone through. I look at it like Martin Luther King and Lewis. Those guys can do it. I can too. I want to be heard, and I want to be heard from. We were supposed to meet Donald Trump, but he chickened out. He wouldn't do it. He said he didn't think the farmer was having that much trouble. He said because he didn't hear nothing about it. Yeah, just because you don't hear nothing about it, that don't mean it ain't happening. It's just tough. Then so many people laughed at me, and then so many people cried. But I did the best I could, what I had to do, and tried to make it.
It wasn't bad luck, it was sabotage, and it happened to 1,000 just like him. So even this white woman here knows the truth about why black farmers stopped asking for help.
I'm seeing all these videos right now where all these farmers are crying about not getting no help right now. You know what? Let me ask you something. When have you ever heard of a black farmer crying about it? Never. And you want to know why? Because they ain't never got no help in the first place. That's right. USDA is literally admitted to discriminating against black farmers. And literally black farmers had to sue, thousands of them, to get what white farmers are handed for free. And fast forward to today, all these farmers crying that they can't get no help. You see, black farmers, they've been struggling. Y'all just now feeling what they've been feeling for over 100 years. Black farmers, they used to own over 19 million acres of land. But guess what? Systematic racism, denied loans, shady politicians, and legal loopholes wiped them all out. Yeah. And now they're 1% of America's farmland. When the government finally tried to pass relief for the black folk back in 2021, white farmers sued to block it, claimed it was reverse discrimination. Make that make sense. So, next time you see folks complaining about farm aid, why don't you ask them, where's the help for the black farmers? Ask them why their struggle is just now important when others have been suffering for centuries.
Yeah, she gets it. When you've been ignored for generations, what's left to cry about?
So I just came across this stat and this idea that is just like making my head just go do somersaults. I'm writing a book, and I'll tell you about that later, but I just want to give you this piece of information. So I know that only 2% of farms are owned by black people. And so we know that. But here's a number that I wrote that feels starker. It's infuriating that black people who were essential to planting, tilling, harvesting, and building the agricultural economy have been completely cut out of farming. Now we had to create the system and we've pushed out of it. And it's not just farming, it goes across all trades. We were the labor, we were the carpenters, the masons, the blacksmiths, the barbers. We built things, we fixed things, we kept systems running. But all of those paths to economic stability were taken from us. And nowhere is that more stark than in farming. At the start of the 20th century, this is the part that really gets me, there were nearly 1 million black farmers. Can I say that again? There were nearly 1 million black farmers in the United States at the beginning of the 20th century. But by now, the 2020s, that number has dropped to under 20,000. 2% of farms in this country are black owned. Just writing that makes me sick. Now, there's a book, Dispossession, by historian Pete Daniel, and he shows how the USDA, local banks, and county officials locked black farmers out of programs. Loans were delayed or denied, paperwork went missing, support was impossible to get. And this wasn't just bad luck, it was sabotage, and it was legal. So there's a person, take Welchel Long, a black farmer in Elbert County, Georgia. In the 50s, there were around 400 black farmers in that county. By the 1980s, he was the last one left. Long tired for years, he had long tried to get fair treatment from the USDA loan officer, and he was either denied or delayed. And one year he got partial loan funds, but then the USDA froze the rest. He couldn't buy fertilizer or equipment. He filed complaints. They were ignored. And by the time anyone paid attention, it was too late. Thank you for coming on this little journey with me. I'm your Uncle Sonari, your econ griot. So do me a favor, like, share, save, follow, all those things. Actually, check out my profile for more information. Stay strong, folks.
They weren't just farmers. They were breeders, innovators, and owners. And the system stripped it all away. The story got buried, but not today. Like, subscribe, and share if this truth deserves a daylight. See you to the next one. Bye-bye. Love and peace.